What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Hold the Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran. I got my co-host, Jay Bob, in the building. What's good, bro?
Nothing much, man. Looking forward to another episode tonight. As you see, we got SD missing. Definitely be missed. Look forward to having back to him on next episode. But want to remind you, you can catch us on TikTok as well as subscribe to us on YouTube at Hold the Husband Podcast. And those interested in DMs or shout outs, shoot us a DM on IG at Hold the Husband Podcast, as well as email us at holdthehusbandpodcast@gmail.com. All right, T.
I want to give a shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with our background music. I also want to remind everybody to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. Everything you give is definitely appreciated. And I'd also like to remind everybody that y'all can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on thecore94.com. Now, tonight's episode is titled This Ain't Fair. And we're just going to be having a discussion about some of the things that make dating in this generation a little bit more difficult than it was for past generations. But y'all know how we do around here on the Hold the Husband Podcast. We like to discuss stuff that we've seen trending or things that have been on our timelines. And so this first video is a video that has went viral. Where a lady's talking about the mindset of the average woman these days. Let's take a look.
Average women think they're better than average men. Every woman wants this exceptionally great guy, right? When I say exceptional, that means he's making at least six figures or doing really, really well for himself. He is good looking. He has to be a certain height, just these crazy standards. But then sometimes these same women don't match physically, mentally. They're not even on the same wavelength as him when it comes to where they're going in life. I need women to humble themselves, especially average women. You're no better than average men.
Now you know that generates a lot of backlash.
Yep.
Calling out women and pointing out the problems with their mentality, but it's a lot of truth to it. There's a big problem in the dating world where average women don't even see average men. They're literally like invisible to them, and so it creates a disproportionate dating field where you have a very small percentage of guys that women actually like and want to be with, that have so many women to choose from that a lot of them don't want to choose, or it's very difficult for them to choose. So it's really a bad dynamic, and there are a lot of things that contribute to it, but we'll get into a little bit later.
There sure is. I mean, no, she's absolutely hit this one on the point. I think, especially in the past few years, you hear a lot of these women saying, well, I don't want just an average guy. I want the guy that makes six figures, that's over 6 foot. And you can even go on these dating apps and, set it to where, hey, guy 6 foot and above and all that. So the way they work, it's on an algorithm. So it's crazy. I would say, listen, date what you qualify for. I mean, that's somewhat relative there. But listen, what's wrong with the average dude? I think you're just looking at money. I think the substance getting missed out of this, right? Let's just say he's working a job making $50,000. That's, average, right above poverty line. But does his job have upward mobility? I think you need to look at those things as opposed to just, does he make six figures and he's 6 foot and above?
Yeah, I think a lot of the the general standards that we see, the talking points that we see a lot of times, they don't represent things that are actually relevant to whether a guy is a good guy long term, whether he's a solid husband or will be a solid father. A lot of times it's based off his finances. And anybody with common sense knows that there are a lot of people that are bad people that make money in very, unsavory ways. So just because a man can afford to do certain things for a woman should not be the end all be all to deciding whether or not you want to be with that type of man. And so the dynamic that we're presented with here, though, is where a woman who may have some room for improvement, right? Like she mentioned, her weight or her appearance, her fitness, her finances or whatnot, even though finances is not necessarily something that men are really that big about. But the biggest thing I would say is weight. Men talk about that all the time, where women have no problem disqualifying a man because any reason, his height, his beard, they can find any reason to disqualify a man from being date potential. But the moment a guy mentions anything about his preferences or standards for women, it automatically becomes a major controversy.
You know what is, and I think we're going to touch on this a little bit later here, but I think what social media, a lot of women think they're better than what they actually are, right? Let's just say average woman thinks, let's just say she's a 5, so that's average, right? Thinks she's a 9 or a 10. Why? She posts a selfie, and there's all types of dudes in those comments or DMs.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a big difference between how men and women operate in regards to sex and attention. And so the fact that men, we really can't help what we're attracted to or what we react to. A lot of women that a guy would not seriously want to be with long term will still get his attention on social media or still be sexually attractive to him. And a lot of guys just, aren't in a position or just don't have the discipline to be able to resist sexual encounters with a woman, especially if he's single and he ain't got no real reason to. Those are the situations that a lot of guys wish that they could put themselves in. But I don't know when the shift happened, where, the average woman meet a normal guy and just feel like she's totally out of his league. But that is the reality in a lot of cases, just based off the things you see women say and post online.
Just to touch off what you said, like when it started out, I would say in the past, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years, because now you have content creators that say, hey, you can go get this dude, you can go how to get 6-figure dude, how to get men for money. So you actually have folks that have platforms on, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and these folks have, tons of subscribers and followers, and probably people paying for, whatever services they're offering or master classes here.
Yeah, that's always been the case, to where you have women that try to finesse men or get what they can out of them, and that's on the men. Some guys, that's all they really have to offer. So they don't have a problem exchanging money if it comes with the time, attention, and potentially sex from an attractive woman. So a lot of those guys are perfectly fine with that. But the problem is you have these women that have expectations of men that are delusional. I don't know anybody you can just Google it, the delusion calculator. And it's an app or a website where you can put in the criteria that women state about men, and it'll actually show you the percentage of men that meet that criteria. So if you just type in like 6 feet, make 100,000, unmarried, like you'd be surprised how small a percentage that actually represents.
Man, I know nothing about this. I'm about to look this up after the show to see this. Wow.
Yeah, man. I've seen lots of people post videos about it, but you just Google it, the delusion calculator, and it's somebody actually built a website that takes the data that women commonly, look for, and as you adjust it, you see how microscopic of a percentage that is. Just going from 5'10", 6 feet to 6'1", 6'2", like you'll see how rare it is to get a guy that makes the kind of salary that they want and meets a lot of the criteria. But
listen, I think at the end of the day, I think what it is, like, a lot of women think they can have it all, and you can't, like, what I'm saying? Because you have all these standards or preferences that you want. I don't think there's going to be a guy that's going to check all those boxes. So I think,
nobody is.
Exactly. I mean, listen, nobody is sufficient in everything. So I think you just have to pick and choose which ones okay are deal breakers and which ones aren't.
Right, and to what you just said, a lot of the things that they use as deal breakers are things that don't make any sense. Like, for example, the woman with the goal of being with a 6-figure man long term. Well, if you 29 or you 32 or whatnot, and your goal is to be with a six-figure earner, there's nothing wrong with you dating the guy that makes 80K right now, because four
Yeah,
to 5 years from now, he should be in around the six-figure range. You know what I mean? Like
right.
there should be growth. He should be on a path to achieving that. But a lot of women will they'll cut off a guy even if he's relatively close to the long-term goals that they claim. And to me, it just don't make sense. You know what I mean? Because most of the guys that are in that salary range and tall enough and got the dick size and all the stuff that women look for, those guys are probably going to prefer being single, you know what I'm saying, or have better options than you. And that's the part that a lot of them just to the point. A lot of them don't realize that they're just average women. There isn't anything great about you. You're not a 10 in any category. You're not leading in, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not flawless in any category. But you know what I think, Jay? I think
Yeah.
men in general, I think the way that we just view women, I think most guys focus on the things that they like about women
Mhm.
and try to just figure out what they can deal with, or yeah, can deal with it in regards to the things that they
I'll say,
dislike.
you know what? I'll touch on it real quick. I'll tell you the biggest difference. Women have a type, men have a range. Like
Okay,
women,
that's a good
women have a type of dude that she likes and wants. Men pretty much kind of have a range. Okay, it, this between, hey, I'll take a 6 through 8 and be good with it. But I would say for the women, listen, I know this is gonna sound bad, but why, if you're average, why not just get the average dude and build with that guy? I mean, if let's just say he makes 50,000, you make 40,000, you get mad, you pool resources, well, you have 90,000. That's how I'm looking at it here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak on how salaries and all that come into play in today's day and age, because I'm not actively dating.
Mhm.
So for me, back in the 90s or early 2000s when I got with my wife, uh, people didn't have these perceptions of people,
Right.
like the average person didn't just feel like they were entitled to a life of luxury just because, you know what I mean? And then another factor that kind of warps the dating field is women have so many things that give them artificial looks and artificial beauty that
Right.
they just get to milk and benefit from. You know what I mean? Like,
Built this and stuff on social media. But think about this, when you met your wife, when you were dating your wife, I don't think she had all these, you had to make X amount of dollars, you had to be 6 foot above. I think she just truly, genuinely liked the person you are when she met you, right?
well, I mean, we all have options and preferences,
Mhm.
right? So, like, especially at an HBCU campus or environment like we were in,
Southern Europe.
I think that's one of the, Southern, obviously Southern University, but being at a very large HBCU, it kind of brings, competition breeds success in a lot of ways, because you're around people that come from nothing, come from the gutter, and all have the ambition to try to become something. So you're usually somebody that's the first in their family to go to college, or you know what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
or it's that they have a history of their grandfather, they have a lineage of it in their family. So the caliber of people that you encounter in a college environment, I think it just raises the odds of you meeting somebody that is going to be above average in regards to lifestyle and compared to general society. And so we both had that benefit, um, coming from the we all broke and we all live in the kind of same experience, to now we have careers and we're starting businesses and doing different things to where we can afford nice homes and nice things now.
And-
I don't know how like SD,
Yeah.
he's balling already, so it's gonna be that much more difficult to risk all the things that he could potentially lose by choosing the wrong woman.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I was hitting on here, because it's like, all right, you guys didn't just get married and live a life of luxury. This is, everything you have now is something you guys built from the ground up.
Yeah, and I don't think there are a lot of people that are even really interested in that. Um, the struggle, like living in a small apartment and, barely making ends meet and things of that nature. Those are the struggles that in a lot of ways bond you to people. You know what I mean? When you actually come up and you get it out the mud with somebody, those are always experiences that you can reflect on. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's real easy for me to look at our house now and compare it to what we had, over the years or before we had our daughter or whatnot. So it always keeps me grounded. And it's very obvious the level of, where we've came from and to where we're at now. So I think if a lot more people had that mindset where they were actually trying to build long term, I think that'd be better for everybody involved. But let's keep these rolling. Now, this next video actually kind of relates to the first one in a lot of ways. It's a video explaining how desperate the average man is for sex and attention for women. Let's take a look.
I don't think the guys want an obese woman. What I think is that because a third of men have no chance in short-term dating, these men are settling for an obese woman. So what's happened is on dating apps, 83% of the right swipes go to the top 20% of men, which means the bottom 80% of men are competing for 17% of women. The top 40% of men get 96% of right swipes, meaning if you're in the bottom 60% on a dating app, you get 4% of the right swipes. A third of men under 24 have had zero sex. They're virgins. 28% of men had not had sex in the last year. There's a group of men at the bottom, Nicola, who get nothing. You don't even notice them. If they walk by you and I asked you, do you see that guy? You wouldn't even see him. Like, they don't exist to women. And the problem is the 5'5" Filipino cashier at Walmart that you didn't even remember existed, he would date a 600-pound woman. That's the difference. I don't think he wants to, though. That's where I see it's like there's a level of desperation for men at the bottom that I think most women don't recognize exists.
Man, that's sad to hear, man. I never even think about stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, when I see guys with, really, women that I would deem unattractive, to me, I ignore those guys. Like, to me, that's a sign of failure. That is something that, why would you want that for yourself? You know what I mean? Like, I knew from a little boy that I wanted a cute woman. You know what I mean? Like, so to think that a guy that those statistics are really jarring. You know what I mean? Like, a third of guys under 28, what he said, are virgins.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for me to comprehend that, even though I realize my sex life at an early age is probably not like most guys. But damn, that's crazy to think of. You know what I mean? So I can understand why they'll just do anything or settle for women that other guys wouldn't pay any attention to.
No, I mean, listen, I'm not necessarily surprised, because if you think about it, like, the average man out here is really desperate for sex or just female attention, period. Like you said, on these dating apps, because on the women's side, I think they want 20% they only go for about 20% of the men on these dating apps. And while so 80% of the men on those apps are invisible to the women. That's the crazy part. So he's going to go for what he perceives as, the low-hanging fruit, or just, an easy layup.
Well, to me, that's just a crash dummy mentality, because there are always things that a guy could do to make it. Well, let me stop talking. That's coming from an entitled perspective, right? Like, I'm 6 feet tall, so I can only think from a guy that meets the criteria kind of perspective. Well, I always feel like there are things that anybody can do to improve themselves, like your fitness level, your just ability to have conversation. Like, there are things that you can do to overcome your shortcomings when it comes to women. And, having more realistic standards, because as a man, like, I think this is a skill that a lot of guys have adapted. Being able to find a diamond in a rough, meaning you can recognize a woman when she's not dressed up or not in the club or whatnot, and recognize a woman that can get that can be really beautiful when she's ready to go out or be seen or whatnot. That having the ability to spot that type of woman allows you to meet a average, around the way girl, for lack of a better term, that may not have all the entitlement that a chick that's a a content creator and gotta have her face beat every day type chick.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right there. But it's just like you said, there's always things you can do to prove. Like, okay, your height, you have no control over that, right? Obviously,
or what it would take to fix it is unreasonable to me. I've seen a guy get the surgery. He went from like 5'6" to 6 feet or close to it with the leg surgery where they break your bones or whatnot.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about there. Wow. Yeah, that's a little.
I can't I mean, I'm not short, so I can't really understand how that would feel or what that would be like. But to me, that seems extreme. You know what I mean?
But like you did, things like grooming. Hey, you get a shape up, everybody. Actually, women do like fresh shavers. There's actually a study that says women are more attracted to guys with a fresh cut. So that's one thing you can do. Like you said, how you dress and even how you talk. That's something you can work on over time. There's even things you can watch on YouTube. For example, Toastmasters. That kind of teaches you how to speak in public and things of that sort. So that's something that can help you as well.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I see guys that they just look a mess, you know what I mean? Like, to me, you're sending a message that you don't care about women. You don't want to have no pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want female attention because the things that it takes to get those are relatively consistent. Like you said, grooming is a big deal. You don't, and for me, I always thought. I remember, when I was younger, that feeling that you get when you leave the barbershop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That the way you smell, the way you fresh line and all that. So I wanted to hold on to that freshness as long as possible. So my strategy was, I'm going to go buy me some barber level liner or clippers, and I'm going to keep my facial hair lined up throughout the 2 weeks that I'm waiting on the actual haircut. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got ordered a little liner thing off Amazon where it goes to curve so you can shape your beard or whatnot. Man, little stuff like that make a big difference.
Right. But I think, you know what? Let's say this, your inside reflects your outside. So, if you're just going out looking sloppy, looking a mess, that says more about how you feel about yourself inside. It's like the equivalent of a woman that goes outside in her pajamas, house slippers, a bathrobe, wearing a bonnet and a bathrobe. Like, that says more about you and how you feel about yourself. So why, if you're not gonna go out and take yourself serious, and listen, you ain't gotta go dress up in a suit or nothing, but you want to make sure, like, if I'm gonna go out somewhere, I want to make sure I'm presentable.
Facts. That's just how we was raised. Wash your face, brush your teeth, comb your hair. You don't gotta. I wear the same shorts and stuff all the time. You know what I mean? But cleaning up, putting on deodorant, making sure you fresh. Like, if you as a single man and you not doing that, bro, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, because the mindset of being a successful bachelor is you're constantly marketing yourself. You know what I mean? Like, so your reputation, you don't never know when you're gonna meet a new chick. You know what I mean? Like, so as a man, especially if you one of them categories that he just mentioned where you struck out in high school, right. You went through college and you struck out. Like, man, at some point you gotta take a very aggressive approach to improving yourself.
Even when you're going on a dating app, what you're marking yourself on there, right? The type of picture you put up on there.
Success. Yeah.
You're marking yourself you're trying to market yourself to the females why they should choose you. So even if you look, a mess or not what the women are looking for in the dating apps, you gotta start to look yourself in the mirror.
But you know what? Based off the research and stuff that I've done in regards to dating apps, the guys that women want, they don't treat dating apps like they're trying to find a woman.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, so their approach to dating apps usually doesn't align with what women are looking for on a dating app. Even though those are the guys that are going to get all the swipes. You know what I mean? Like, it just creates a situation where the guy that she could actually be with that would actually probably be most beneficial for her long term, she never even meets him or comes in contact with him because he's invisible to her.
But you know what? There's a lot of times these women are aware of this and still want that guy, hoping maybe he'll change his mind, in the long run. Hey, maybe I can do this and lock him down. And you usually don't get that success out of it.
Well, I mean, there's no, magic formula for a woman to be able to secure a long-term relationship with the type of guy she likes. And then with the divorce rate, even if you do get married, there's no formula for staying married. And so a lot of people's kind of strategies on how to get there, to me, don't really make much sense. My approach was always make myself a pleasant person to be around, make dating me beneficial to the person I'm with, short and long term, and that makes a person want to stick around. You know what I mean? Like, there are tangible benefits that come with dating a consistent man that provides a stable lifestyle. You know what I mean? Like, we ain't partying and we ain't at concerts every weekend, but we live a comfortable lifestyle where when we do want to do those type of things, we can make it happen. You know what I mean? And I think, and based off what I've seen as a man, that's a lifestyle that most women can see themselves getting in line with. You know what I mean? A comfortable lifestyle, luxury cars in the garage, you make a decent amount of money where you not flat broke after you pay your bills. That's sustainable, you know what I'm saying? And that'll always give a guy opportunity to have success with women. All right, man. Looks like we are up against the clock. We about to take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna be getting into tonight's topic. This ain't fair. Where we're talking about some of the things that make dating in this generation more difficult than past generations. You are tuned in to the Hold a Husband podcast. We'll be back in a moment. Hi, I'm relationship coach and author Terry Duran, and I am pleased to announce that my book, It's Not That Complicated, is finally available as an audiobook. So if you don't like to read, or you just don't have time to read a paperback book, this audiobook is perfect for you. You can listen to it while you're in your car, while you're at work, etc. In the book, I break down how husband material men think and operate in regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating. The audiobook is available on audible.com and on iTunes. All you have to do is go to one of the websites and search for my name, Terry Duran. Go download your copy today. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hold a Husband podcast. Tonight's episode is titled This Ain't Fair. And we're talking about some of the disadvantages or difficulties that people have dating in this generation compared to generations of past. Now, I think the most obvious difference is the impact that technology has had on dating and just human interaction in general. I think there are a lot of things that unexpected consequences of technology that haven't really been able to be studied because it's changing so rapidly. Because if you look at, by decade, how things have changed. Things have changed in between men and female relations. I think the curves or the graphs that depict things now compared to 10 years ago will show some drastic changes.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, technology now has really changed the game because we're now in the smartphone era, the social media era. So it's really changed dating drastically. Like we were saying earlier, women have unlimited options. They have all sides of DMs, message guys willing to fly them out, regardless of whether she looks good or not. Yeah. So I think that's changed some of the dynamics. I mean, even for the men, I guess there's more access to women. So you have more access, more of a chance to slide in somebody's DM and gain sexual access that way as well.
Yeah, just compared to when I grew up in the 90s or whatnot, I remember, we would have a lot of conversations about your crush and, if you could have a one night stand and these type of things where celebrities were just kind of in a realm of unreachable or untouchable or whatnot, where now man, the average chick could have one of her favorite rappers and following her or in her DMs, just off of her sexual attractiveness. So that's one big thing that I see is different. And also just the connectivity with people from your past. Like I'm from the era where you might lose touch with a chick and never see her again, or be a very long time. Where now Facebook is recommending people and mutual friends and things of that nature, where a chick that you might have worked with in high school or a couple years ago, she comes up and refreshes in your brain due to social media.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just like anything else. You take the good with the bad with it.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? I really like the older people, even the elders have embraced that they use Facebook to meet people and date and things of that nature, because dating in itself is about meeting people and making a one-on-one connection, and that can happen through almost any medium. It could be with somebody at the bingo hall. It could be somebody at the golf. Like you don't never know where you're gonna meet somebody that you connect with. You could be going to get an oil change and end up meeting somebody that you end up dating or marrying. So I don't see anything wrong with meeting somebody through social media. Through some type of technology, because that's how most people meet these days.
No question about it. I mean, and social media has also changed people's perception in relation to their peers. Just being, it's almost like kind of like similar to high school in a way, where everybody's trying to be popular or, trying to perceive that they live a better life than they're actually living here. You see a lot of that on social media too.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not really a limited to an age range. I think it really just depends on how you consume the media and how your level of self-awareness, or how comfortable you are with yourself. Because just think about the things that trigger someone to clout chase, or the mentalities that a person would have to do to make up a story to go viral and things of that nature. These are all things that we haven't had, like I said, the been able to study on a significant level, but there are patterns there. There are certain things that trigger these for people to do it, and a lot of it is money. Going viral can result in a lot of money, in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. And I think another thing, some people just aren't used to really getting attention in spaces, right? So what can you do? You can go on social media and do things to draw attention towards yourself. I mean, now you see this more with the women, because women base their desirability based on attention. But, there are men that go on here just to clout chase too. Even nowadays you see videos, you see these, where you think it's real, but it was actually a skit. That's...
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get it. People got to be creatives, and you never know where it could go. I know people that have started off making skits and ended up in movies and things of that nature. So I'm trying not to knock it.
Gotcha.
But to me, I just always try to just present or respond to it based off what is presented. Like if it's a skit and it's depicting a realistic situation, I'll try to give my commentary or my thoughts based off of how a quality man would view or handle the situation in real life. But you're right. I've had a lot of experiences where I've discussed the topic and then you come to find out it was a hoax, or it was planned or something like that. Now, another thing that I think that even though we get the benefit of it, I think that all the beauty enhancements makes it more difficult on this generation. For one, it puts a lot of pressure on the natural women on how they have to look or present themselves. It robs them of some of the attention that they would have naturally got The BBL chick, even though we may not want to wife her, we probably are going to give her more attention and follow her and double tap her pictures and all that, because we're sexually wired creatures. So we respond to what we like visually. And so it also makes it more difficult for men to see what a woman really looks like. You know what I mean? So you don't really know what you're getting. You could be getting a chick, you know what I'm saying? Like, so like I said, I don't have no hack for it or no, SD say what he say, lightly used baby mamas to confirm that they actually women. But there ain't no right way to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you got to deal with that as well. Not knowing, transgender and things of that nature, and make it more difficult as well.
And now with social media, like you said, the beauty enhancements with the BBLs and all the surgery stuff, but you also got, filters and stuff that you can use on social media to take off blemishes. Like, for example, if you're trans, whatever, you make it look like you ain't got an abs apple, or make yourself look like a woman as close as possible. I'm trying to say it without offending anybody there, but you can do things on social media.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing, like getting catfished or being deceived through an app or social media is real. Everybody that's on social media is not a good person. So there are people getting scammed and robbed and things of that nature too. So you have to exercise a certain level of caution in today's day and age. But just from a male perspective, like I said, you don't know what you actually getting. I mean, even with just makeup, like, you could meet a chick at a club and your first 2 or 3 dates, she looked like one thing, but that's because she got her roommate does her makeup before she goes on dates, or what I'm saying, like, or she does her own makeup. Like, there's a lot of sorcery that can be done when it comes to beauty enhancements, but not so much for guys. For when it comes to men, for the most part, most guys can lie about their lifestyle or their level of wealth, but that's only gonna go so far. You know what I mean? Like, it's relatively easy to see if a guy's being genuine with what he's presenting you with.
I mean, I guess it's easier to fake it till you make it on social media, but like I say, once you interact with the person in real life, it won't take long to tell if he's really living that life for real or not.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I said, when I hear stories where I was deceived for years and multiple kids and all this, like, hold on, man, something's not adding up, because it takes a lot of effort to be consistent with anything. And so if you're dealing with a guy who's lying about who he is as a man, that's almost impossible to maintain. You know what I mean? Like, for anybody that's paying any attention to it, at least to me, that's there would be so many inconsistencies that you'd have to notice.
No question.
Now, another thing that I think definitely hurts this generation is the mentality of the men and the women of this generation. There's been a lot of propaganda, a lot of things that have kind of turned men against women, it feels like. There's the gender wars and all this type of stuff on social media. And I get accused of that as well, even though that's not the intent. I honestly wanted to provide women with access to how husband material men think and operate, and even though based off the numbers, I don't really feel like I'm in the average category, but I feel I'm a regular dude. I'm not rich, I'm not famous, I got a regular job, I live in a regular lifestyle. So to me, that I'm just an average guy, you know what I mean? Like, with living a regular lifestyle. And the men that are like me out there that, care about parenthood and do what they have to do, their dating decisions are going to be a lot, in line with a lot of the content that I create and a lot of the stuff I talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you get accused of gender one because you get accused of hating women and all this. And for what it's worth, you provide context in the caption. And I don't think a lot of them don't read. They just read, they see the video you posted or the picture that you posted and don't even read through what you put in. You're actually trying to put it all in context. I think context really matters. But you see a lot of this, and I think it's done intentionally, to kind of further drive the divide between men and women, because if you notice, this stuff shows up in your algorithm all the time. This is stuff that gets clicks and views.
Yep. Explore page all the time.
Yep.
You're right. It's interesting to discuss these things, but there are a lot of hurt people out there that are on social media that make it a toxic place in a lot of ways.
Well,
and that comes out in those conversations. For sure.
You know what? Yeah, because what it is you're up against an agenda here.
Right?
It really is an agenda being pushed, and that's really what you're up against here.
Yeah, man. When we talking about that's one of the things that make dating in this generation difficult too, because for most people, I think what they see in the comment sections and on social media impacts their behavior and their mindset. Yep. And so the mindset of the men and women that are becoming adults and having kids and things of that nature is drastically different than it was in generations of the past. Now, like I said, I wasn't necessarily searching for love or a woman to be with when I was in college. I was just kind of, I knew I'd always be able to settle down with a woman. But I don't think the guys in today's generation are really looking for love and marriage at all. It's and the women too. These younger generations, that's not their goal or their, what they see themselves doing. And so I think that the marriage rate is just going to continue to drop.
Right. I think, with the advent of social media, it's became hookup culture. Because think about it, the average college kid right now grew up right in the middle of the social media era, right? So they didn't know what it was like, pre-social media or even before the iPhone era. I mean, think about it, the first iPhone dropped in 2007. So we're 16 years removed from, or 16 years removed from the first iPhone.
Yeah, that's crazy how fast things are changing. But you're right. The people in my age group that predated social media and knew what it was like, where you had to actually write down a chick's number in the club or memorize a number in the club, things of that nature. You view technology and you appreciate it a lot different, because we were growing up where we was lucky to have a phone that you could click over on. You know what I mean? Like, I remember where you would get the busy signal, missing phone calls and things of that nature. So the fact that we had to go through the different iterations of technology to where now everybody has their own cell phone.
But even think about this for a second, right? Think about even back in the day growing up, right? Even to have access to something like porn, right? What would you do? You had to find, go get the bootleg.
Yeah, you had to find somebody.
You go get the bootleg DVDs off the streets or video VHS off the streets from somebody, right? Now they have it right in the access of their phone. There's kids in high school right now exchanging nudes right now as we speak.
Yeah, now that's a dangerous thing because that's technically a crime. But you're right, there are a lot of things that we didn't have to worry about in our age grade. But think about that though, right? You could become popular or have something get leaked while you're a teenager that follows you the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, where your friends or your circle of friends, the people in your community remember something about you from a very long time ago. So there are a lot of potholes that come with the technology that people have today. I just don't really see where, based off the media and the music and the messages that are out there, I don't see how we get back to a culture where finding somebody to build a life with is most people's priority.
Yeah, it's becoming more and more of an anomaly than the norm in this day and age, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess it's been weird because when me and my wife first got married, we were always like the youngest couple wherever we met, you know what I'm saying, wherever we went. And just over the years, it's like there's never been a large percentage of our peers that were married at any one time.
Wow.
But it seems like the divorces are so prevalent. You know what I mean? Like my friends, my wife's friends, like everybody that was married at one point, it's like they all single again. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, dang, it seems like it's so rare to actually be a married couple these days.
Jeez, that's wild. How do we fix the bridges gap? Who knows?
I don't know, man. I think about that all the time. Like, what could actually make a difference? What can actually improve things? And I still have the same belief back when I started creating content is women. The way women view men, the way women view and think about dating and relationships, and then the way that they manage their own behavior. Those are the key components to having dating success for women, because the women that actually embrace my perspective or listen to the things that I talk about, it ain't like I'm trying to tell them what to do or how to think. I'm just explaining to you what you're doing that's sabotaging your experiences. And so simply changing those things or eliminating some of those things by default gives you a better rate of success. And so if a woman's already able to consistently get attention and, attention from men without having to be a thought or show her panties and all those type of things, well, then a couple tweaks and you should be able to find a guy that's interested and keep them interested.
And
At least that's how my mind works.
Absolutely. And you know what? For somebody that's looking, let's just say, looking to get into a relationship, I think, somebody that's not showing her body online is way more attractive than the person that's, half naked, where you could see just about everything online. You know what a bare butt cheek, you know what a body look like, and you and everybody else.
Well, I don't know if more attractive is the correct phrase, but more desirable in a woman. Yeah. I can understand that, because you could be very attractive. You could be the baddest chick, and still be a thought or a stripper or whatnot. But the problem with that is, I would have a problem with the mentality of a woman that monetizes her sexuality or things of that nature. Everything she posts got to show her ass. Everything she do got to be about her generating attention to her sexual body parts. I couldn't be with a woman for that mentality, and I wouldn't want that type of woman raising my kids. And so I could never be with that type of chick. You know what I mean? Like, even though I don't necessarily have no problem with one, so I could be fuck buddies with one or cool, you know what I'm saying? Like something like that. But you would never be nobody that I would take serious for those reasons. But it is what it is, There are certain things that guys do that get them eliminated from contention as well.
Yeah.
But to me, I never really cared to coach those dudes, because you just making it easier for dudes like me. You know what I mean? Like, I was always thankful for the guys that wasn't getting over. Even though I feel sorry for them now, I didn't realize, kind of what their lives was like behind the scenes.
Yeah. Or even you can even do so much as talk yourself out of some. There's guys that done that, just tripped over their own words and instantly turned off.
Yeah, those are all things you got to learn from experience. Well, so I guess some guys don't learn it, right? Because they still in their 30s and 40s and making those same type of mistakes. But those are the skills we talk about all the time, where things that you perfect over time or you get better at to have more dating success. I don't know, man. When we're talking about this generation of people, man, it's so hard to get to the point where you're considering marriage, because there's so many outside perspectives that influence your relationship, and I can even remember how social media was causing arguments between me and my wife. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Is
her
this when they
friends,
start creating content?
that, and just in general, certain topics come up. I remember the paternity. It was the post about the husband going to get paternity tests behind the wife's back, like
Oh,
that, correct? Like stuff like that. Just realistic or scenarios or questions. You never know what type of conversations or how that can play out in real life. But those type of things seem like they would derail a dating situation. A misunderstanding, a difference of opinion, things of that nature that this generation just don't seem like they can get past.
Yeah, I guess it's not necessarily limited to the younger generation, but I can see where it can affect the younger generation, because, like I said, they grew up with this, so they can't discern between social media and real life. Dave Chappelle said it best. Was it Twitter is not a real place? And that's, I think, indicative of what you should think of social media. It's not a real place. It's just it's an app on your phone. It's meant for entertainment, but it should not consume your life.
I guess that's easier
Yeah,
said than done, right?
it's made to be addictive for what it's worth.
Well, there are a lot of things about it that make it that way. It creates interaction or individual connection between so many people, because outside of just sharing your stuff on your timeline, I got lots of friends or people that I communicate regularly with through is sharing videos and sharing this, what I'm saying? Like, just sharing different content that, we know each other, so we tag each other on certain stuff that either we, discuss or laugh at or whatever the case may be. And I think that it changes depending on who it is, because me and my wife constantly share stuff on social media too. So it's kind of impossible to not have it be part of your life, because even if I went downstairs to eat dinner, my wife is going to probably be talking about something she saw on social media, or, man, you heard this, or I saw this, what I'm saying? Like, it's part of everyday conversation now. So I don't see how people can actually eliminate it. I guess there are people that never got on it. But to me, that seems weird too, right? Like, if you meet somebody and they don't do nothing on social media, they don't know who none of the popping people on Instagram are.
I've came across people like that. I found it weird, because I'd be like, I don't know if you hide something, trying to hide. That's how I be looking at it. So I came across people like that before.
Yeah, I like I said, I haven't had to deal with it, but I do think, I guess maybe a red flag, to meaning that you just need to figure out their reasoning behind it. Like you said, are they trying to hide from somebody? Or are they trying to, change their identity or do something like that? There could be a malicious reason that they're not on social media. All right, man. Looks like we are up against the clock. We about to get up out of here, but before we go, I want to give another shout out to my man Brother Soul Productions for keeping us laced with our background audio. I want to remind y'all to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and PayPal. Jay, I appreciate you linking up with me so we can get the episode knocked out. SD, we gonna get him on the next episode. This has been another episode of the How to Husband Podcast. Y'all, thanks for tuning in. Peace.